And so I'm just going to the home page. I'm not going to go through all the steps of entering your first practice round, but we are going to talk about a step-by-step video. It's a 42-minute long video. For me to go through all the steps on this video live would take me at least 45 minutes. And I'm not sure how much time everyone has right now to do that. So I will refer you to the video on some things. But before we do that, I see we made a lot of progress on whoops, I got clicked on the wrong one. We made a lot of progress on our teams. So I just looked at the teams right before class, and it looks like we have 12 teams. Now we may end up, I see that at least one team has 5 members. I don't like to have that many members on a team, but I think given the number in this class, we may end up with more than one team with 5 members. The reason why I don't like it is because logistically it becomes more difficult for you to arrange a time to get all 5 students. 4 seems to be a perfect number. So if you do have 5 on your team, please make a note that I will probably, well, not probably, I may have to ask one person to move to another team if we have someone from another team drop out of the course, which does happen almost every semester. I have at least one student drop the course for whatever reason, life happens. And if that does happen, I'll have to move the team with 5 people so that I can make sure that every team has at least 4 people on it. So just to be fair. So just make a note of that. If you're on a team with 5 people, that I might ask the last person who signed up for that team to move. So I'm also looking to make sure that everyone has at least one quant, because what I did notice is that I have several teams with more than one quant, and the rules were one quant major to a team, because we are limited in the number of accounting and finance majors that we have, and I would like to have either accounting or finance major on every team. So I can see this team with 5 only has one quant. But what I did see is that, for example, team 6, I'm not sure if Tony or Melissa is with us right now. Tony or Melissa, are you here in this online meeting?
I am.
Okay, and then also we have, let's see who else. Thought I saw one more. Yeah, so team 3, we have 2 finance majors, Hunter and Felicia, are on team 3. You're both finance. So I'm going to have to look at the schedules, and one of the 3 I just named, I will move you to, I'll have to move you to team 12 because they do not have a quant person. That's the only team without a quant person. But I want to make sure that I find the teams that have flexible schedules. So again, these teams are not yet written in stone. And what we're going to do is we'll have a one team assignment this week, just so we can get to know our teammates, so that we learn how best to communicate. Some teams use GroupMe apps, some teams just use text messaging, regular texting. I have different GroupMe groups. I have a tennis team, and we don't communicate via text, because group text, that can be a hassle. You get the notice all the time, and it gets a little bit interruptive in your personal daily life. So we use GroupMe for a lot of those different groups. You guys might want to develop a GroupMe uh, text messaging type system, but you need to decide that, and it needs to be a communication method that you can communicate easily and quickly with your teammate. If anything comes up, for example, and you can't meet with them at the regularly scheduled time, you can get in touch with your teammates. It's going to come in handy later on in this semester, especially. So that's what we want to do this week is sort of get to know our teammates a little bit better, have a pretty simple, straightforward team assignment for this week. And if you run into any problems pertaining to especially scheduling where you just can't develop a convenient schedule that works for everyone on your team, or if it's the work style conflict where you might say, well, this team has a compatible schedule, but the way that they work is not conducive to the way I work. Maybe you like working ahead of time, for example, but you have a bunch of people who want to turn in their work at the last minute. Maybe your goal for the class is different. You want to make an A, and you have teammates who say, well, I just need to get through the class. A C is fine with me. It doesn't matter. And which means that you might be doing more of the work. So a lot of those factors need to be taken into account besides just the diversity of your majors. But I will try to finalize this list, and then after I finalize it, I'm going to develop our list of teams in Cougar View so that you can see who your teammates are and start on your team assignment, your first team assignment. So if you notice, let me go back and see if it will let me go back. Okay, so if you notice your very first assignment, and I'm not sure if you can see it yet, your first assignment, which is due this Sunday night, is to take what we learned last week in developing the very first step in the strategic planning process, as you know, is developing your mission and vision statement. We talked about the rules for developing a well-written mission statement last week. And remember, we said we want it to be as short as possible. Keep your mission statement to one sentence, which tells us what your company basically does, to whom they sell their products or services, and what their uniqueness is, why people would choose them over another brand. That's your mission. Your vision is your statement of where you see your company going, what direction it's going in the next 3 to 5 years. And that might be adding new markets, that might be changing the corporate culture, that might be increasing customer satisfaction. So look at the mission and vision that the company you've been assigned, they currently have, read a little bit about the company, and then as a team, you would want to decide then, this is how we would recommend that we modify the mission and vision so that we can make it more effective. Now, let's just take United Airlines. Where would I find United Airlines mission and vision statement? Well, a couple of ways. First of all, you could just Google it, but sometimes, what pops up in Google is an old mission and vision. So, United Airlines mission vision statements, so you can Google it and see what happens. And of course, here's our core purpose and mission: connecting people, uniting the world. Um, that's sort of what we would call a mission slogan. It's not specific enough. Connecting people, uniting the world. That could actually be, if you think about it, that could actually be an internet site. That could be an email service. That could be a cell phone service. That doesn't say that we are in the transportation industry, that we are connecting people by transporting them to different places, that kind of thing. It also doesn't really say what their uniqueness is. What is United Airlines uniqueness? They might be focusing more on safety or focusing more on reliability, getting you to the place you want to go at the right time. So, you see, this is sort of their vision, committing to being net zero by 2050. That's a really, really long-term vision. They also have different things they would like to achieve. So as a group, we don't want to have 4 sentences out there about the vision statement. Instead, we want to take a look at, in a nutshell, what would be their primary goal. This is a very generic goal. We're not really stating specifics here. We're not giving, objective measures yet. That's step 3 of the strategic planning process. At this point, we're just giving a general direction. We want to become the airline with one of the top customer experiences and focus on diversity and inclusion and our employee culture, and we have a a commitment to the environment long term so that we can achieve net zero reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, something like that. I'm just at the top of my head pulling that out. So it has to be one sentence. So remember, one sentence for your vision, one sentence for your mission statement. Your mission is what you're doing now. It describes who you are, to whom you're focusing, your target market, and also, where, geographic scope. That could be local, statewide, regional, national, or global. United Airlines is a global airline, as you know. So you can put one word in there. We're not trying to add too many words. This is a great advertising campaign. This is a great mission slogan, but that is not a good mission statement because it's too generic and it could be applied to too many different companies, too many different industries. So we need to get a little more specific here. If I were doing United, that's what I would recommend. So as a team, this is where teams really work best. The creative process is where diverse teams can be at their very best. If you want to increase creativity, how do you do that? Well, you increase creativity by making decisions in a diverse group. That's how you do it. So we know from research and from looking at what works in companies in the private industry is to do these things not alone, sitting alone in your own office, but in a team setting where you can work off each other's ideas. So creativity is one of the benefits of team decision making. So I have decided on the companies, depending on which team you signed up for. I have the numbers. I will post that. I will either, probably both, email you and also post it on Cougar View. Here are the teams, so you know which company your team has been assigned. And then you want to just follow the instructions on this and make sure that you remember the rules for well-written mission and vision statements. Make sure that you have both a mission and a vision. It's possible for you to combine the mission and vision into one sentence, but you don't want that to be one long run-on sentence. So most people separate them out. So here's our mission and here's our long-term vision. Most people separate the two out. So this is a discussion board assignment. This is on the discussion board. However, you're not going to have everybody on your team post. You'll have one post per team. So there should be 12 posts in total for the entire class. So you would assign one person on your team the task of posting what your team decided on your company's mission and vision. Make sure that you first list what the company's current mission and vision is. And then secondly, how you're revising it. And then thirdly, why you think your revision is better. Explain to everybody why you think yours is better. So state what you've changed, why you changed it, why you think your new one is better. So we're going to go through at least one more iteration of this before we all get it right, which is very common. That's what we do in business. We will develop a new mission and vision and then test it out on our employees and on our customers to make sure that they are interpreting it the way we intended, and that it really works, that everybody can understand it, decipher it, and that it's effective. And then we might make future revisions to it just to refine it, make it even better. So we'll go through more than one revision of this probably, but we want to get our first version out there by this Sunday night. And I'm glad that we have had an easier time than I expected with the team assignments, but I will have to make a couple of adjustments just again to make sure that we have enough in each group. We want to have at least one quant person in each group so that we have adequate diversity on the team. We have adequate skills on the team so that we can continue the simulation and the rest of this strategic planning project. Those are the two main projects that we're going to be doing. in this class. Any questions on this first assignment that's due on Sunday night? The team mission and vision revision? Okay, so we're still working on in individual mode, we're working on the CAPSIM practice rounds. So most of you should have finished your rehearsal tutorials. I'm going to go look at the rehearsal tutorial report in just a minute. If you have not, then you really need to finish that. This week is the last week. After you wait after this week, if you haven't registered and completed the tutorials, which I think we might have one or two who still haven't done that, then you're going to have a really tough time catching up with the rest of the class because we're moving on this week to completing the first practice round. So I do have a YouTube video out there you can watch. You can watch this video with your phone, on your phone, as you just, so I'm going to show everyone, follow the instructions on it. So basically, let me go out there to the CAPSIM simulation. Okay, let's sign in here. And okay, so I think there might be one or two who still have not signed up for it. When I look at the rehearsal tutorial, rehearsal completion, most everybody is finished. We still have a few who have not. I'm looking at this and a few have not still. So before you can get started on the practice rounds, you have to finish the 3-part tutorials. When you go to your dashboard, let me log into a team. I'm just going to randomly do this. And when you go into your dashboard, it should show checks on each one of these, the introductory lesson quiz, the rehearsal tutorial, and the situation analysis. Uh, your your teammates, your students in the class will tell you this situation analysis is the most time-consuming part of the tutorials. You might get a little stuck in certain parts of it. There is, again, an open AI chatbot that might help you through that. If that doesn't work, you can call the 1-877 number at the bottom of your screen. You can get some technical assistance, and the people who answer the phone usually are very helpful. Now, they might tell you that, well, I can't help you through answering all of the questions on the tutorial. But again, you can work your way through it. Almost everybody does. It might take you a little more time on the situation analysis. I think most of you will agree that the 3-part tutorial takes most people between an hour and 2 hours, usually 2 hours max to do all 3 parts. So get through that first before you start on the practice rounds. Now, the practice rounds, it does say competition round 1. These are the practice rounds, even though it says on your dashboard competition round 1, because in the practice rounds, you are competing not with other student teams, though. You're competing with 5 other computer generated teams. So you are competing, but not with student teams in the practice rounds. You're competing with computer generated teams. Once we start the team competition, there won't be any computer generated teams anymore. It will be all human teams, all the students in the class you'll be competing with. So with the practice rounds, you can go through each round. It's set to be self-processed. You can go at your own pace, and you can redo every round as many times as you want to get the score you want on that. So when you click on continue to decisions, you'll launch the web spreadsheet, and here you are in the web spreadsheet, and it kind of simulates a bit of an Excel spreadsheet. It's not exactly the same. So, and I go through this in the video, you'll have 4 different menus of decisions to get through in the first practice round. For each one of these menus, the first time that you enter your decisions in the practice rounds, watch the coach. Here's the coach. The coach will show you a short video. All right, here's a R&D tutorial. Here's a short video, and they're usually less than 5 minutes. Watch that because they'll give you some tips about some things you should do or some things you should avoid doing in this coach. So do watch that. The first time that you make decisions, you might also want to read through each one of these, instead of just looking at the video, you might want to look at the actual team member guide and what it has to say about each one of these decision modules, and about the Foundation Fast Track, which is the report that we're going to be using a lot to make decisions. And we'll talk more about that next week. So do go through and watch the coach for each one of these decision menus. I think I mentioned that in the video that I have posted out there. There aren't a whole lot of decisions. We're taking baby steps. But after you finish the tutorials, you understand the competitive environment a little bit better. You understand the products that your company sells a little bit better. And this perceptual map over here, my marketing majors in the class, you'll know what that is. A perceptual map is simply a map of how consumers perceive your product. And you'll notice that for our particular industry, we only have two segments. We have a low tech segment, and this bubble is what we call the high tech segment. All right, we have a low tech and we have a high tech. The low tech is going to be focused more on low price, trying to get the price down. Price is a big driver for the low tech market. And then for the high tech market, it's going to be more about product performance, right? So you see, we have one product right now. And you'll have the ability, if you want, to add 4 more products. You won't want to add more than 1 product per round, though, because normally we can't afford more than 1 product per round. But you will also, at the same time, you might be making changes to the current product that you have. All right. So you have the ability to make changes to your product. You have the ability to add new products. And that's your decisions that you'll need to make in the R&D, the research and development menu. And then you'll go through the marketing menu. The marketing menu is one of the more time-consuming menus, but also one of the more important ones, because we're going to learn how to forecast. Forecasting is a key skill in this simulation. And we'll talk more about forecasting. I'll show you a little bit of it in that YouTube video that you want to watch as you're entering your first round decisions. The key in this marketing menu is that, number one, you do input a forecast, because at the end of your decisions, the very last decision menu is finance. And the finance menu will have revenues and costs and profit projections that are all based on this forecast that you input, right? If you click on the eyes for each one of these decision columns, it gives you a description of what that decision column is for. And it also tells you, gives you some tips about, here are the things you don't want to do. Here are the things you need to pay attention to. And again, we'll take that one baby step at a time. We'll talk more about that, especially next week. So do take a look at the video. The best way to get started in this, look, you can't make mistakes. Don't worry about making mistakes, because if you do make a mistake, that's the way that you learn. And you can simply redo the round if you found that you made a mistake. If you make a mistake, we first of all want to find out, why we made the mistake, where is the mistake, and why do we make the mistake, and what do we need to do to correct it? And that's what we're going to talk more about next week. But watch that 42-minute video. And like I said, I would just watch it on your phone. And as you're watching on the phone, you can pause it, you can rewind it, go back, but you can enter these decisions just like in the video as you go along. And you should be able to, after watching the video and going through making the decisions with the video, you should be able to upload your first set of decisions. So after you make all of your decisions in the 4 decision menus, you are going to click on Update Official Decisions. And then after you update your official decisions, you'll then click on Exit. I'm going to click on Exit now. I'm not going to update because I haven't made any changes. And you're going to come back to the screen, to the dashboard, and you're going to see an item here that says decisions have been uploaded. Do you want to go to the next round? You'll click on that bar that says go to the next round. All right. And after you go to the next round, next week, we'll talk about how to know if the score you achieved in the first round is a good score. If that's a score, that's going to be what you're, really trying to achieve. The goal is to achieve to make a 100 on this assignment. The individual practice rounds, once again, count for 10% of your course grade. We want everybody in the class to complete the individual practice rounds. And just as another reminder, we talked about this at the beginning of the semester, you cannot be added to a team for the team competition rounds if you have not finished all 4 practice rounds. That's a rule we made several years ago. And the reason is we want everybody on your team to be familiar with the simulation, to know how to use the simulation and be able to contribute to your group decision making process, to be able to give you some good quality contributions to your discussions about what to do next. Any questions about what's due coming up? I am going to finish the team assignments. So before tonight, you'll know which team that you've been assigned. And let me know if you have any problems getting in touch with your teammates. I want to know about that. The best way to reach out to them initially is to simply email them. So I'll send you everyone's email address. So the best way to reach out to them initially is to email them using their columbusState.edu email address. And then from there, I would probably ask for other contact information, maybe cell phone numbers. It could be, like I said before, you could set up a group me for your team in this class. However, you guys decide to do it, it's fine. But just emailing probably won't be enough because, not everybody checks their emails all day long, but we tend to check our text messages and that kind of thing. So that would be my suggestion to you for communicating with your teammates. Any questions before we go today? I'm going to stop the recording here now.